Well, welcome to the editing portion of this engagement series. If you're just tuning in, go ahead and check below in the description. I posted a lot of videos of this engagement shoot, live video, a lot of tips and tricks and stuff that I use of this specific engagement shoot. It was a really awesome, fun, great time we had with this couple. This is my brother and sister-in-law. And yeah, so this is going to be kind of the editing portion of this series, kind of diving into how I edited some of the photos. Of course, we can't go over all of them. There were several hundred. So that would just take way too long, and people on YouTube are pretty impatient, and they're probably already getting impatient with me right now, talking too much. So let's just dive into here, right? This photo was kind of one that was requested a lot. People were wondering, you know, what happened with this photo? How did you plan it? How did you shoot it? What was your vision? The vision was pretty simple. I only shot one photo in this composition where they are just way down here in the bottom right, and we have a lot of sun up here. So my thought real quick while we were shooting this was the sun is up here, of course, and I can get it into my frame, shooting it through my lens, possibly making some sun flare, which might kind of look like what this is right here. But that didn't really happen. Once I looked at the photo in the back of my camera, I realized it didn't create as much sun flare as I'd like, so I moved on. So if we reset this photo, you're going to see that, bam, look at that. All that fake sun flare goes away. So here's the thing with editing. If you can make somebody believe that the photo was natural or what was in the photo was actually there, then you're doing a good job. But once you show them the behind the scenes, or you show them the before edited photo like I just did, or resetted it, it can take away a lot of the pizzazz and kind of make you realize like, wow, that photo's not as cool as I thought. But that, of course, doesn't really happen in real life with couples. They don't see the before. They don't see, and most people in life don't really see the before photo unless, of course, we're showing it like this. So keep that in mind. The pizzazz is gone, of course. This is what it looked like, and now you realize, oh, that's just some terrible dodging done here in Lightroom. But again, it's one of those things like when you see it right away, it's like, well, that kind of looks cool maybe. I thought it looked, you know, it's a cool photo. I liked it. I hope they liked it as well. So yeah, we're going to dive into here. There's not a whole lot I can show about editing on this. And here's why. For this session, editing in Lightroom, I used a lot of presets that were built off of other presets. So these presets that I used for this specific shoot were built off of a lot of old Vasco, however you pronounce it, Vusco, whatever, I don't know. They were built off of a lot of VSCO, I think, VSS, I don't even know how you say it, whatever. They were built off a lot of their presets. And so stuff like their tone curves is what I built this preset off of. So if I was to get rid of the tone curve, let's just say, everything else is all edited, and the tone curves are edited as well from their presets. But if I was to get rid of the tone curve, you can see it kind of takes away a little bit of color in the trees, a little bit of color in their skin tone, and just some overall contrast in the colors. So I'm going to show you again how I edited this, but keep in mind that it's really hard to start from a basic flat tone curve and kind of get it where you want to if you have no experience with tone curves. Even if you make one slight adjustment, it'll ruin the photo. So keep in mind that I'm going to show you how I edited this photo, but if it doesn't work for you, it's, you know, one preset, one setting. It doesn't work for all photos, of course. So yeah, for this photo, if we reset it, this is what it was straight out of the camera. So temperature was at 6,000, and we bumped it up just a little bit to about 6,400, a little bit below that. And then tint was at 5. We'll just leave it at 6. Exposure was up just a little bit to plus 20. Highlights was down, I believe, what is it? Maybe like 30, something like that. Shadows were down just a little bit. The whites were down a little bit, and the blacks were down to about 20 or 18 or so. Clarity, I don't touch in my photos. They can really ruin a photo. So be very, very careful with clarity. Can make a good shot really bad, really quick. Vibrance, I used a lot in this photo. And I used a little saturation too, just because, I don't know, I think it needed it a little bit. So again, yeah, going down to these tone curves, if I was to just try and do this again off of nothing, it's not going to look as good as I want. So I mean, we would pull this up a little bit in the RGB. That adds a little bit of that hazy look that sometimes I've referred to as film, which doesn't really look like film at all, but you know, whatever. And then we go to reds, and we would make a couple adjustments, a couple points here, push those reds up a little bit, pull them down here in the darks. And then we go to green, do the same thing. Push them up just a little bit in the highlights up here. Pull them down in the shadows down here. Blues, same thing. Push them up just a little bit while watching our photo, pulling down some of the shadows. Now, it's you can go very far, very fast with these curves. If I just push these up a little bit too far, it can deteriorate the photo, specifically with red. If I push it just a little too far, that's in the highlights, so you can see up here and on the faces. If I push it down in the shadows, pushes it pretty much everywhere. So again, I would suggest play with curves. There's a lot you can do with curves that you can't do with some of these. And again, there's a million ways to skin a chicken. There's a million ways to, you know what I mean? You can get to the same result by doing different things in Lightroom, by doing different things down here. So don't be scared to mess with Lightroom. You can get different results with different tools. You don't have to use tone curves. You could just turn it off and try to get that result some other way in Lightroom, and that's totally fine. But we're going to stick with it. So just from doing that, I'm going to go back to my green channel, and I see a little bit too much greens in the shadows. No, somewhere around there. It looks like reds are actually what I'm kind of not liking too much. Maybe in the highlights, let's pull them down a little bit. Let me pull up the mids. No, there, that's, Again, it's easy to just go way overboard and then ruin a shot, and you're like, gosh, what the heck? I can't get back to where I want. Now these greens are looking too much, and it's like, it's just, again, it's one of those things. I like to start from a preset with tone curves and then work from there, like I mentioned. So, yeah, now we're just getting a little bit crazy. I'm going to pump my blues back in there a little bit. Blues, save me. Come on. Anyways, you get the point. Be very careful with tone curves because it can ruin a photo very quick. Very quick. Let's leave it at that. We'll mess with it later. So down here in the HSL, which is just a bunch of colors you can mess with, hues of the color, the saturation, and the luminance, which is the brightness of that color. We'll go ahead and mess with a couple colors here. I'm going to go to luminance and go to orange. Orange is most of the time skin tone. So if we punch that up a little bit, you can see their skin goes up a little bit. Brightness. And then if we go to saturation, I'm going to just maybe push up the greens a little bit. Play with yellows, see what happens there. You know, that's cool. Oranges are also skin tone, so be very careful. If you push those up too much, you will mess with skin tone. Hue is we can change a color, make it go a little crazy. I am going to make the hue maybe just a little more red, just so it's a little more natural in the skin tone. I'm seeing a little lot of green right here. I'm not liking it too much. Maybe let's go to the green. And that doesn't do much at all. It's just not much green in the photo that is actually green. So let's leave it like this and go back down to detail. Lens correction, actually. Where the heck is the grain? Oh, it's in effects. There it is. Bam, grain. So I'm going to just throw some grain in there. Probably can't see it, but it's there. And then let's just go back up here and start getting back to basic edit. Again, this is kind of hard for me to get to where I was because I started with a preset. But we'll make it work. I'm going to throw a little bit more blacks in there, kind of add a little more contrast, pump the exposure up a little bit. I think it's a little too saturated here, so maybe I'll kill the vibrance just a little bit, pull that saturation back to 0. And here's the little trick that I did with the exposure that kind of looked like sun flare. Maybe it didn't to some of you. I don't know. What I kind of do is I start from scratch with a brush, and I'll just push it up a lot with exposure just to see what it's doing. and then just start painting. And that was just a little bit too big of a beam, so I'm going to make this brush a little smaller. And I don't know, do something like that. So that looks ridiculous, of course. So we'll reset the brush once it's all painted and just start pushing exposure up a little bit. And then grab clarity and bring it down to kind of blur it a little bit just so it kind of looks like sun flare. Grab saturation, push it up just a little bit. And then I'm going to erase just a little bit of this just to kind of make it look a little more real. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Again, you just got to play with Lightroom and you can create some fun stuff. Again, this shot was something I just made real quick, so again, it's not going to be perfect from the one that we started with, but you know, we're just playing with it. Just you got to have fun with Lightroom. Okay, so there we are. The couple's a little green. Maybe I could just even throw a little more magenta in there. Something like that. Maybe cool it down just a hair. And I mean, these rocks too are kind of pink. So if we got a new brush, paint it over them. That's extreme, of course. I'm going to go ahead and kill the exposure on that now, and then just grab the magenta tint of it and pull it down to green a little bit, maybe warm it up. Somewhere around there, and I might even just kill some of the saturation. I don't know, something like that. You know, it's it's not perfect, but whatever. You get the hint. Like, you can do a lot with Lightroom, and yeah. So that's what we got to, and this was the raw right there. So we got somewhere. Again, Lightroom's just a tool. You need to learn all of its abilities so you can manipulate a photo in any way you want. Again, this was the only photo where I went this drastic on this session. I didn't, you know, add any more fake flare in any of the other photos. So, and again, just play with it. This sun flare looks a little fake even now, so we could even add a little more clarity back to it. Kill the exposure a little bit, something like that. It just adds a little bit of something that kind of catches your eye, and you're like, "Ooh, what's that? That looks like sun flare," but really it's not. I could even kill saturation on that hill a little bit, add a little bit more, more green and more warmth to it, just so it looks a little better with the landscape. So yeah, that was not, you know, too hard. Again, just Lightroom, just go have fun with it. Go play with it. Go mess with stuff. Go mess with settings. Don't be afraid to adjust stuff. Don't be afraid to try new things. Again, this is the first video. I thought I would get through more than one photo for this video, but it's already past like 14 minutes or something. So maybe next one we'll try to dive in a little quicker, a little faster. But you get the hint. You know, we're going to try to get through these photos. And I don't know, maybe we'll do more than 10 episodes, probably, because this channel originally was an editing channel, so we'll try to make a little bit more. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate all your support, all your comments, all of your emails, all of your likes, all that stuff. If you guys did like this video or the series, please give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. I love responding to people. I love if you have questions. I can try to answer those in my best way possible. Again, thanks so much. Subscribe if you are not subscribed. We're putting out a lot more videos than we used to be. And yeah, this summer and next year is going to be super fun. So stay tuned till next video.